My name is Monica Gleberman, and you're listening to Silence on Set podcast. On today's podcast, we're at the premiere of Violent Night, which is a film about an elite team of mercenaries who break into a family compound on Christmas Eve. They take everyone hostage inside. However, they aren't prepared for a surprise combatant. Santa Claus is on the grounds, and he's about to show why this Nick is not so saint. So to talk about the film, first up, here's David Harbour.
Initially, it just confused me, and I think things that confuse me, I get really excited about. Initially they pitched it to me and they said, "Oh, it's going to be an action Santa Claus or violent," and I was like, I don't know, that doesn't make much sense. But then I talked to the director, David Leitch, who's a big action guy, done some incredible action movies that I've loved, and then I read the script and I was like, oh, so this has a big action movie component to it. It's got a lot of funny stuff as well, but underneath it is this beautiful, heartwarming story of this little girl. She's lacking a lot in her family life, and she needs to believe in Santa Claus. And then by the end of the movie, you believe that Santa's real, and with her, you have this cathartic experience. And I thought that was quite thrilling, and I thought it would be a real big swing to get it right. I guess the big question of the movie for me, starting to play this character, is who is this guy? We all believe in this guy, and we all talk, or our kids do, and we lie to them and tell them he exists. But who is this guy? It's some guy in a red suit who comes into your house. He's known as Saint Nick. He's known as Santa Claus. But who is he? We started with this, almost the 20s or 30s, the Coca-Cola company created Santa Claus, who was a guy with glasses and a white beard and a jolly belly and a ho-ho-ho laugh, and drank Coca-Cola and delivered presents to kids. And then if you go back, you start to see there's Saint Nicholas, who is the patron saint of lost souls or something, and Christian mythology. And then there's also, different cultures have different versions of this character. And so we wanted to explore who this guy was, who he might have been. So we start off with him as this saccharine version of himself. He's got the nice curly beard and the little glasses, and he sort of hates what he's become, this thing for greedy children to kind of consume like everything else in this world. As he starts to investigate his life, his own unhappiness leads him back to what he was before and his sort of mythological origins. And this little girl sort of is in trouble and says to him, "We don't need a big, fat, jolly guy who's going to give us sweets and presents this year. We need a guy who can save our life, my life. We need a protector. We need a champion. We need a hero." And so I think that enlivens him. And this cynicism sort of melts away, and we start to see that, oh, this guy had a purpose that was different than just delivering nice sweets to little boys and girls, that he believed in naughty and nice as bigger ideas. And I think he wants to get back to that. And so that whole arc was really fun, to have this dark guy who was trapped in a version of himself that the world thought he was. To have that guy explode because some young people say, "We want a champion," was really fun. At his essence, his ideas of naughty and nice are different than the traditional Santa. The relationship that we had was it was sort of brief. I didn't really get to know her, but she's so wonderful in the movie, and she's just such a pro. We were sort of compartmentalized for most of the movie, and so I didn't really even know how it was going or how it was working. I would see some stuff here and there, I'd do some stuff, but then to see it put together, and when we finally got to shoot that last scene, it really felt special with her. She has a sort of clear innocence and a sweetness that just shines through, and she's just endlessly charismatic. So we were very lucky to have her in the movie. He just elevates the movie in such a way. He's such a legendary, iconic actor, and he elevates this whole bad force in the movie that needs to go against this guy. And he's just so, so wonderful. I can't say enough good things about John. It's this crazy action movie So if you like big action movies, it's a crazy action movie, but at its core, it really is a Christmas movie, and it will make you believe in Santa Claus. And it will make you believe that Santa Claus can also kick your ass if you're on the naughty list.
Next up is John Leguizamo.
I couldn't believe how violent, how funny, how outlandish it was. I mean, how do they say, balls to the wall? Yeah, it was shocking. I was like, oh my God, this is what we needed. This is what you need to have in our modern times to cut through all the noise. A movie that thinks outside the box, that's not a remake, that's not another rehash of a pre-done movie, something new and original. And not only that, I was laughing out loud. And I don't laugh out loud. If it ain't funny, I'm not laughing. And I was laughing out loud, knee slapping as I'm reading. People thought I was losing my mind, but it was that funny. And then I wanted all my friends to read it who are screenwriters because it was so good. It was that good. And then we got on set and it was even funnier. And you got all these great, great actors, Edie, Alex, David Harbour, and the brilliant thing about Tommy Wirkola is that he hired, my whole crew are stunt actors. So man, those fight sequences, that's them. That's not a stunt double because they are stunt actors. Oh yeah, man. No, I really enjoyed chewing up the scenery a little bit on this because it was allowable to get a character that's really smart, really wound up, and the action sequences were incredible. I got to work with one of the great stunt coordinators, Jojo Eusebio, who rocked it. I rehearsed it for months with all these stunt actors, and it was such a blast, man. I mean, Tommy Wirkola and David Leitch and Kelly McCormick really put a lot of time to things. The most sought-after roles in Hollywood are the villains. They're the most fun, but you do have to have restraint. That's where your skill set comes into play. You have to make sure that it's believable. You have to be scared of me. And even if I blow it, you're not scared of me anymore. You don't respect me. You have to respect the villain. And that's the trick. He brings such rage, such dysfunction, and still makes him lovable. Who can do that? I think she's the surprise star of the movie. And she's got a little snark to her that this is the right ingredient for it, So it never goes into too cute or too corny, What can I say? I mean, it was minus 35 degrees below zero Fahrenheit, which is goddamn cold. And there were times where I couldn't move my jaw. I mean, that first scene where I say, welcome to your worst Christmas ever. My mouth is so frozen in my jaw. I'm going, welcome to your worst. That's not me gritting my teeth. That's my jaw frozen. Oh, I love Christmas, man. I mean, I know it's a bit of a commercial holiday, but at the same time, it's such a great excuse to be together with family, for me to see my whole entire family at once, and for us to joke and reminisce and celebrate the things that we love, which is, a lot of Latin culture, We dance, we put our music on, cumbia, salsa, merengue. We have our great dishes, lechon, pernil, maduros, all the things that we like in Caribbean culture. I just love a chance for my kids to be with my extended family. Well, first of all, it's a great movie to see with everybody out in the theater, laughing your ass off, because I saw it with 4,000 people, the biggest audience I've ever been in a premiere, and they were yelling, hooting, hollering, jumping on their seats. This is going to happen to you as well when you see the movie. Just don't bring the grandma or the tiny kids. This is for the 13 and above crowd.
And here's Tommy Wirkola.
Well, it came to me through the producers, which is David Leitch, Kelly McCormick, and Guy Danella, who sent me the script, basically saying it was Die Hard with Santa Claus. So I read it, thought it was a lot of fun, and yes, it was part of that Die Hard. Certainly, it was hugely inspired by Die Hard. It had a lot more in it. I thought it had humor, of course, action, all those things you expect, but it had a big amount of heart too, and that's what I love about it—the combination of those things, and the fact that it still was a Christmas movie. They generally love action movies, and they have such a burning desire to make great action movies. They just, as you've seen in the movies that they made before this, and Started with Wick, of course, but going into Atomic Blonde, Deadpool 2, Bullet Train. Like, they take action super seriously, and they wanted every movie to feel special and unique and really deliver on the action part, which is, of course, important. One of the things, of course, that they're known for as well is to really train their actors, to really get the actors in there where the stunt team rehearse the fights over and over and over and really get that in the actor's system, so on the day they can do a lot of that stuff themselves. So the goal was, okay, how can I make something original, fresh, and fun that still feels like a Christmas movie? When you walk out of theater, I really want you to feel filled with Christmas spirit. That was the goal. And it was a lot of fun trying to pull in from other Christmas movies. And how can we, like, for example, Die Hard is the obvious one, but you have Home Alone, you have Christmas Vacation. And then in addition, we have a lot of Easter eggs from a lot of the Christmas movies. Our movie allowed for us to tribute these movies, but at the same time creating our own thing and making something that hopefully stands out. Well, Santa, when we meet him, he's kind of down. Like, he's lost faith. He's lost faith in humanity, in himself, and in Christmas. He feels like it's all about consumerism and gifts and toys. It's not about the Christmas spirit anymore, about being good and kind. So he's really considering packing it up. Like, this might be the last Christmas, is what he says in the beginning for him. Then, of course, he goes on to deliver his presents, and he comes across this house where this family is being taken hostage by Mr. Scrooge and his gang of terrorists. In this family is a little girl called Trudy, which he befriends and decides to help. And through her and their journey together, he kind of slowly rediscovers himself. And he finds out, again, what Christmas means, not just to him, but to everybody. And also, he finds back to his old self, who he was before Santa Claus, which I'm not going to spoil here. But that also ties into why he can take on all these terrorists and actually maybe come out on top. It is truly about what is important for Christmas, and why is Christmas what it means to you. And it's about being good and kind and spreading that Christmas spirit and holiday spirit. First of all, he's just a great actor. Like, he's a great actor, and he knew the nuances we had to hit with Santa and where he's at in the beginning, where he ends up in the end. But Santa also needs to have a big physical presence, which David has. He has to be really funny and understand the kind of humor we were aiming for, which David knows. And he had to have a big heart. And because the beating heart of the movie is his relationship with Trudy and the little girl, and how they help each other, and he finds his faith again through her. David knew all those things, and he knew how important that was. And that was the first thing he mentioned to me, how important that is. And we were just in sync. And yeah, he was just like all these things I mentioned. He just has a great combination of all these things that made him perfect for it. Oh yeah, fantastic. And she was such a find, and this is her first film, and she obviously did a big casting round and looked at all these tapes, and the moment we saw her, it's like, amazing. Who is she? Where is she? And by chance, she turned out she was actually Canadian where we were shooting, and she didn't live far from where we were shooting, so like everything was falling into place. And yeah, she understood, like, there's one thing to being a good actor, and when you're a kid, of course, it's challenging enough, but she understood the humor of the film, and she understood the tone we were trying to hit. And she actually did some ad-libbing in the movie, which is insane. Like, she was throwing out lines that stayed in the film, and she really got into it, and she nailed that role. Yeah, no, it's about keeping that thread going throughout Santa's journey, because obviously it's an action movie. We got crazy action and stunts and all that stuff, but weaving in and out of that is that relationship with Trudy and him. Yeah, that kind of is the thing that holds it all together. I said early on to the producers in the studio, if we get that relationship right, we can go as crazy as we want with the rest, because that's the key to the film, and it truly was. He's so good and so funny, and he brought so much to the character. Like, that character is so much him as well in there, and he loves to ad-lib, to throw funny lines in there, and he really made that character come alive. We knew we wanted Scrooge to have an extra element. It shouldn't just be about robbing that family. We came up with a backstory that he loved and embraced, and to make it about something more in the end when he faces off with Santa. Every single one of them killed it and understood the heart of the film. Like, they had freedom to be funny and crazy and try things, but in the end, yeah, it was all about staying within that Christmas. The beating heart of Christmas is what I'm trying to say. And it was also fun, like, bringing in Beverly D'Angelo from Christmas Vacation, which is a movie that was so important to me when I was a kid. And she had so much fun with that role. And there's an introduction scene with her where she's going back and forth in the hallway, swearing a lot. And a lot of that was her own stuff. And I was really impressed with her diversity in swearing. I think some directors think or find shooting action can be kind of not boring, but it's painstakingly takes a long time. And personally, I love it. I think it's one of my favorite things to do. And obviously, we also have a great second unit director, Jojo Eusebio, who killed it and did a lot of the action as well. But this is a movie that, yes, we have the relationship with Trudy and Santa, but it's also a big action movie, and we got to deliver on that front. And it was really fun sitting down, trying to map out the different action beats and how we kind of reveal Santa, who he really is, to those beats. What we kind of came up with really early on, and we discussed a lot, okay, how can we bring Christmas into every fight? How can we bring Christmas decorations or Christmas, anything relate to Christmas, we want to bring that into the fights and embrace it. And, as you saw, like we had also Santa's endless sack of gifts and his reindeers and how we can go up chimneys. Like, we want to use all that and more within the fights. That was our way into making the fights unique and stand out, was to really just use Christmas. It was colder than usual. Winnipeg, I have to say, was surprisingly cold. And yes, I'm used to it, but it was really, really cold at certain times. And there was actually one day we had to quit early because the oil within the dolly, which is the camera gear, froze. And it's got to be pretty cold for the oil to freeze in that gear. But it also gives the movie something. It gives an extra element to the film. The fact that we were out there doing it with real snow and real trees and mountains, like all that was real. And it really, you can feel it, I think, in the film. I really thought they'd find an original way in for our Santa Claus. But me and David Harbour, we talked a lot about, okay, we want to start with that famous Santa Claus we all know, the Coca-Cola Santa Claus with the red suit and the tiny glasses and the white hair, and really put him to the grinder. And through that journey, we slowly reveal who he really is. So it was a lot of fun trying to add to the world of Santa Clauses.
Hope you guys enjoyed listening to the cast of Violent Night talk about the film. The film will be released December 2nd worldwide, so make sure you go and check it out. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you're updated on all of our latest podcasts. And head over to our YouTube channel, hit subscribe so you're updated on all of our video content.